There are different kinds of loss in this world. Some losses are sudden and dramatic, like a storm that destroys everything in its path. Others are quiet and gradual, like watching colors fade from a painting until all that remains is gray. The second kind can be just as devastating, because you don't realize what you've lost until you're standing in the emptiness, wondering where all the light went. This is the story of Jennifer, a woman who lost something precious without even noticing it slip away. She didn't lose a person or a place. She lost herself, her passion, her purpose. The very thing that made her feel alive vanished slowly under the weight of expectations, pressure, and exhaustion. Jennifer's journey is about finding your way back when you've forgotten who you are. It's about learning that healing doesn't require grand gestures or perfect plans. Sometimes all it takes is one small step forward, no matter what. Jennifer stood in front of the blank canvas in her studio, paintbrush trembling in her hand. The pristine white surface stared back at her like an accusation. It had been 473 days since she'd created anything meaningful. She knew the exact number because she'd been counting, hoping that one morning she'd wake up and the magic would return. It hadn't. At 34 years old, Jennifer was considered a successful artist. Her paintings hung in galleries across 3 states. She'd been featured in art magazines, had 15,000 Instagram followers, and earned enough from commissions to pay her bills. From the outside, she had everything an artist could want. But inside, she felt hollow. It started 2 years ago when a gallery owner told her that her whimsical landscape style was what sold. So Jennifer painted more whimsical landscapes. Then an interior designer commissioned her to create a series for a hotel chain. 20 paintings, same style, same color palette. The paycheck was too good to refuse. Soon, everyone wanted a Jennifer Walsh original, which really meant they wanted the same thing over and over. She became an assembly line version of herself, churning out variations of the same sunset, the same forest, the same dreamy scene that people loved to hang above their couches. The money was good. The recognition was satisfying. But somewhere along the way, Jennifer stopped creating art and started manufacturing products. And when she tried to paint something different, something real, something from her soul, nothing came out. The blank canvas remained blank. "Maybe I was never really talented," Jennifer whispered to the empty studio. "Maybe I just got lucky." She set down the brush and walked out, leaving the canvas untouched. Again. That evening, Jennifer's phone buzzed with notifications. Another commission request. A gallery asking about her availability for a show. A student asked if she offered private lessons. She ignored all of them and opened her photo album instead, scrolling back through years of pictures. She stopped on a photo from 7 years ago. Jennifer at age 27, paint splattered across her overalls, grinning at the camera with wild joy in her eyes. Behind her was a massive canvas covered in an explosion of colors. Chaotic, emotional, raw. It wasn't pretty or sellable, but it was real. It was her. Jennifer barely recognized that person anymore. Her doorbell rang. She opened it to find Mark, her oldest friend from art school, holding a bag of takeout and wearing a concerned expression. "You've been ignoring my texts for 3 weeks," he said, walking past her into the apartment. "So I'm staging an intervention." "I'm fine," Jennifer lied, closing the door. "You're not fine. Your Instagram hasn't been updated in a month. You canceled on the gallery opening last week. And Sarah told me you turned down that teaching opportunity at the community center." Mark set the food on her kitchen counter and turned to face her. "What's going on, Jen?" Jennifer felt her carefully constructed walls beginning to crumble. "I can't paint anymore." "Can't or won't? Does it matter?" Her voice cracked. "Either way, it's gone. I stand in front of the canvas every day, and there's nothing inside me. No inspiration, no ideas, no feeling. Just emptiness." Mark was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "When's the last time you created something just for yourself? Not for a commission, not for Instagram, not for a gallery. Just for you." Jennifer opened her mouth to answer, then closed it. She couldn't remember. "You've spent 2 years giving everyone what they want," Mark said gently. "Maybe it's time to figure out what you want." "I don't even know who I am anymore without painting," Jennifer admitted, tears spilling down her cheeks. "And I don't know how to find my way back." Mark pulled her into a hug. "Then don't try to find your way back. Find your way forward, one small step at a time." The next morning, Jennifer made a decision. She wouldn't try to paint. Not yet. The pressure of creating something good or sellable was too overwhelming. Instead, she would do something simpler. She would just play with color. Jennifer bought a children's watercolor set from the drugstore, the cheap kind with 8 colors and a tiny brush. Then she went to a coffee shop, ordered a cappuccino, and opened a blank notebook. Her hands shook as she dipped the brush in water, then in blue. She made a single stroke across the page. It wasn't a painting. It wasn't art. It was just a blue line. But it was something. One small step. She added a red dot, a yellow swirl, a green blob. Nothing meaningful, nothing planned. Just playing. Just feeling the brush move across paper without the weight of expectations crushing her. For the first time in months, Jennifer felt a tiny flutter in her chest. Not inspiration, not yet, but something. A spark so small it could barely be called hope. She took a photo of the messy page and texted it to Mark. "Day 1, one step forward." He replied immediately, "I'm proud of you." Jennifer created a routine. Every morning, before checking her phone or email, she spent 15 minutes with her watercolors. Some days she made abstract shapes. Other days she tried to capture the way her coffee steamed in the morning light. It didn't matter if it was good. It only mattered that she did it. One step forward, every single day, no matter what. At first, the practice felt awkward and forced. Her inner critic screamed that she was wasting time, that real artists didn't need to relearn how to create, that she should be working on commissions instead of playing with cheap watercolors like a child. But Jennifer kept going, one brushstroke at a time. Slowly, something began to shift. In week 3, she painted a small bird perched on her windowsill, and for just a moment, she forgot to worry about whether it was good enough. In week 5, she experimented with mixing colors she'd never used before, creating shades that had no name or purpose except that they made her feel something. In week 7, Jennifer woke up with an idea for a painting, a real painting, and rushed to sketch it before the image faded. It wasn't anything like her usual work. It was strange and imperfect and utterly her own. She didn't paint it right away. She wasn't ready yet, but she kept the sketch, a promise to herself that she was still in there somewhere, waiting to emerge. 3 months into her daily practice, Jennifer received an email from the director of the Riverside Community Center. They were still interested in having her teach an art class, this time for adults who had never painted before. Jennifer's first instinct was to delete the email. She wasn't qualified to teach. She was barely holding herself together. How could she possibly help others? But then she thought about her morning ritual, about the 15 minutes of play that had slowly brought her back to life. Maybe she didn't need to teach people how to be successful artists. Maybe she just needed to teach them how to take one step forward. She accepted the position. On the first day of class, 8 nervous students arrived, each convinced they weren't creative or couldn't draw. Jennifer recognized that fear. It was the same fear that had kept her paralyzed for months. "Today, we're not going to create art," Jennifer announced, handing out cheap watercolor sets. "We're just going to play. No rules, no judgments, no pressure. Just pick a color and make a mark on the paper." A woman named Carol raised her hand. "But what if it looks bad?" Jennifer smiled. "Then it looks bad. The point isn't to make something beautiful. The point is to make something. One brushstroke, one step forward. That's all." As her students hesitantly began to paint, Jennifer felt something unlock inside her chest. Watching their faces transform from fear to curiosity to joy reminded her why she'd fallen in love with art in the first place. It wasn't about perfection or recognition or sales. It was about the pure act of creation, of bringing something into the world that didn't exist before. After class, a retired man named Tom approached her. "I haven't created anything since I was a kid," he said, showing her his paper covered in messy yellow and orange shapes. "My wife died last year, and I've been so lost. But today, for 30 minutes, I felt like myself again." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "That's exactly what art is supposed to do. Keep coming back, Tom. One step at a time." "One step at a time," he repeated, smiling. 6 months after that first blue line in her notebook, Jennifer stood in her studio in front of a large canvas. This time, she wasn't afraid. Her hands didn't shake. She knew exactly what she wanted to create. She spent 3 weeks on the painting, working in a flow state she thought she'd lost forever. The piece was nothing like her famous, whimsical landscapes. It was raw, emotional, and deeply personal, a visual representation of her journey through burnout, emptiness, and slow, patient healing. When she finally stepped back to look at the completed work, Jennifer felt tears streaming down her face. This was it. This was her voice, her truth, her art. Not what galleries wanted, not what sold well, just what needed to exist. She posted a photo of the painting on Instagram with a simple caption. "I disappeared for a while because I forgot who I was. This painting is about finding my way back, one brushstroke at a time. It's not for sale. It's just for me." The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of messages poured in from other artists, other burned-out creatives, other people who had lost themselves and were trying to find their way forward. Her vulnerability had given others permission to be vulnerable too. But the message that meant the most came from Mark. "Welcome back, Jen. I missed you." A year later, Jennifer's life looked different than it had before. She still took commissions, but only the ones that excited her. She said no to projects that felt like assembly line work. She taught 3 classes a week at the community center, watching her students discover their own creative voices. Most importantly, she still spent 15 minutes every morning with her watercolors, playing without pressure, creating without judgment. That daily practice had become her anchor, her reminder that healing was an ongoing process, not a destination. One morning, a new student named Amy arrived at class looking defeated. "I used to write," she said quietly, "but I haven't been able to write anything in 2 years. I thought maybe trying art would help." Jennifer handed her a paintbrush and smiled. You don't have to write a novel today. You don't even have to write a sentence. Just make one mark on the paper. That's all. One small step forward. Amy looked at the blank paper, then at Jennifer. What if that one step isn't enough? Then tomorrow you take another step, Jennifer said. And the day after that, another. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to keep moving forward, one step at a time, no matter what. Amy dipped her brush in blue paint, the same color Jennifer had chosen a year ago, and made a single stroke across the page. Jennifer watched, remembering her own journey, and felt grateful for every difficult step that had brought her here. She had learned that healing wasn't about returning to who you used to be. It was about moving forward into who you're becoming. And sometimes that journey starts with just one small step. Burnout, loss of passion, and losing yourself are some of the most painful experiences we can face. When the thing that once brought you joy feels impossible to reach, when you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back, when every day feels gray and empty, that's when you need gentleness the most. Jennifer's story reminds us that healing doesn't require dramatic transformations or overnight miracles. It requires patience, compassion, and the courage to take one small step forward, even when you can't see where the path leads. Maybe your step is picking up a brush. Maybe it's writing one sentence. Maybe it's just getting out of bed and making coffee. Whatever your step is, it matters. Every single one adds up. Every single one is proof that you're still here, still trying, still moving forward. If you've lost your spark, your passion, or yourself, know that you can find your way forward again. Not by forcing it, not by going back to who you were, but by gently, patiently taking one step forward no matter what.